Celebrating unsung heroes. Now, I've covered it every year, and year two I was blessed to be honored with the award. And last year I actually produced the entire program into a 1-hour special for PromoHomoTV, and I'm doing the same tonight. So you're going to meet the honorees now and enjoy an incredibly inspiring evening here on PromoHomoTV. For their support of my show, I want to thank Desert AIDS Project, Lulu California Bistro, and 849 Restaurant and Lounge. And I want to thank you for watching, as always. You know, PromoHomoTV is reaching people all over the world, and I appreciate the fact that you are one of those people.
I think you already walked out. So last year. 16 and
Hey, how are you? You're in my
Welcome, Desert AIDS Project's Chief Executive Officer, David Brinkman.
I've got a front row seat and I'm bringing the show to you right now from the front row on PromoHomoTV.
Hey everybody, welcome, welcome. Everyday Heroes was born just 5 years ago by dear friends Mark Jones, Brian Vatcher, Frank Goldston, and Daryl Tucci. They were struck by the number of volunteers and the countless ways that people are making a difference in this valley. And they all agreed that the work of these individuals who inspire was heroic, and our community needed to hear these stories. As we prepare to mark World AIDS Day tomorrow, I've been especially mindful of the earliest years of the AIDS crisis, about the heroes who made a difference in my own life, and how those heroes walked me through a very dark time into the work that I do today at Desert AIDS Project. You know, by first grade, I knew I was different. When we were playing house, I wanted to create that fantasy with the boy across the street. By junior high, I knew every derogatory term for gay. I knew if I was going to survive in that town that revered football and muscle cars, that it wasn't going to be easy for me. By high school, we're talking late 80s now, I knew what AIDS was, I knew who got it, and I knew it was a horrific death. My high school was part military, it was religious, it was very conservative, to the point where we all received a manual on the specific hair length that we had to have and that uniform of tie and coat. Hazing, particularly anybody who was suspected of being queer, it was part of the high school culture I went to. And during my junior year, my hero arrived, Father Henry Doyle. To me, I think he was 7 feet tall, he was a gorgeous black man, and you got it, he was gay. Just imagine RuPaul playing a priest at a military school, and that was Father Doyle. His presence pulled me right out of a depression, and his friendship gave me hope where it had not existed before. I am grateful for the many heroes who inspired me to harness that fear-based energy that came from the cruelty of homophobia in the worst years of the AIDS crisis. So naturally, my first big job out of college was as a condom fairy. My boyfriend and I, we worked in the parks, we worked in the gay bars, and we worked in the bathhouses, and we passed out condoms as part of our local AIDS organization. Our shift ended each day at 1 a.m. at Club Portland. So on Sunday mornings, as all good condom fairies do, my boyfriend, who was an acupuncturist and a Chinese medical doctor, and I hosted brunch. So while I made breakfast, he boiled this huge pot of hideously smelling herbs to boost everybody's immune system. After eggs and mimosas, everybody rested in our apartment, and they gagged down that stinky medicinal tea he made, and our foreheads were all covered in acupuncture needles. I remember we were weary, and we were scared. But we no longer would let fear paralyze us. Now we all, everybody here, share some level of anxiety for the future of our civil society and of our planet. So let the lessons learned from the AIDS epidemic and tonight's everyday heroes remind us that being stuck in fear equals death. Yet action from a place of love, the opportunity to create a better tomorrow. So if you, like me, find hope and inspiration in people who quietly do what they do to help heal our community, you are exactly in the right place tonight. Welcome to Everyday Heroes, individuals who will inspire us. So let's get on with the show. Welcome one of our 3 illustrious co-chairs tonight, Mr. Tom Trudy.
Thank you, David. Good evening. My name is Tom Trudy. And on behalf of my 2 co-chairs, Terry Kedover and Ann Sheffer, I'd like to welcome you all to the 5th annual Everyday Heroes celebration. And it is a feel-good celebration. And I just can't believe that this is our 5th anniversary already. I think most of you know your anniversary symbols. You know, first anniversary is paper. Second anniversary is cotton. Third is leather. Fourth is silk. But some of you might not know what the 5th anniversary, what we're celebrating tonight is. Well, from this point forward, the 5th anniversary will be known as the Take Back the House anniversary. Just one little political joke for you, Chuck. Anyway, we are so excited tonight. This is one of those times that we are just overwhelmed because we get to honor people like the 4 individuals we're honoring tonight and the really dedicated group of long-distance bikers. These are people that inspire us, people that give back to the community, people who are unsung heroes. They give endless hours of their time volunteering, or they raise a lot of money for the Desert AIDS Project, or they give in-kind assets to the Desert AIDS Project, whatever. They do this all without accolades and without awards, and that's all going to change tonight. I want to thank you all for being here. There's so much going on right now. I mean, Palm Springs is so busy, and you chose Everyday Heroes, and we thank you for doing that. I mean, I cannot believe what goes on in this town. Last week you could have heard Randy Rainbow or Laura Benanti. This week you could hear the 10 Tenors or Julie Garnier. Next couple weeks you can hear the Gay Men's Chorus, Christmas show, Barry Manilow at the show, many different Nutcracker shows. The Electric Parade is tomorrow night, and the list goes on and on. I mean, Palm Springs has become hip, hip, hip. When I moved here in 2000, a friend of mine from New York said, "Isn't that where you go to break a hip?" And now we've become hip. Well, on with the show. One of the nice traditions about Everyday Heroes is we always have a wonderful Broadway singer open the show and then come back to close the show. And we've had people like Anita Whitaker, Jason Graw, James Snyder. Well, the tradition continues tonight with one of the Valley's very favorite singers, David Burnham. Yes, of course. David has done it all, from Broadway to Hollywood. He sings with symphonies all over the United States. His solo show, he performs that in Canada, Europe, and in all 50 states. Some of the roles David's played on Broadway, this is just some of them, have included Fabrizio in The Light in the Piazza, the original Broadway cast, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Fiyero in Wicked. For 2 years, he was one of the headliners at the Wynn Resort in Las Vegas in a big Broadway extravaganza called Showstoppers. And anybody see Showstoppers? Yeah, amazing show, and he was amazing. This summer, he was the lead in the musical about the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I want to talk to the makeup artist in that show, because she or he would be the person that every night had to turn David Burnham into Quasimodo. They deserve an award for that. That's for sure. Is our musical director ready over there? Yes, that's Mark Vogel, one of the best you'll hear. So sit back, ladies and gentlemen, relax, check your cell phones, make sure that they're on vibrate, because if any cell phone goes off in the middle of the show tonight, boom, you go right to Santa Claus's naughty list immediately. Help me welcome to the stage the incomparable David Burnham.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, oh, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, oh, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, oh, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, Terry, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Oh, sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world, and up Let's go. You guys feeling good this evening? Yes. We are so happy to be here, I gotta tell you. I just love coming to Palm Springs. You guys have been so generous with us, and we just love it. You guys are an amazing audience. Already, they're great. And we are happy to be here to support this amazing event, Everyday Heroes. Yes, we are so happy you guys are doing this and recognizing these fine people for their contributions. Now, usually whenever I'm doing a show, I always ask people, so I'm David Berman, I come from the world of Broadway, and I always ask, do we have any fans of Broadway? But tonight, we've got 400 plus gay people in the audience. I think the odds are high that there are 1 or 2 people who like Broadway. Yes? Yeah, see, I knew I came to the right place. So for most Broadway guys, you know, you never forget your very first break in show business, and certainly I am no different. Mine came when I was still in college, and I did not have an agent yet, so I decided I was going to crash an audition for a brand new musical that was coming out. Do you guys remember the musical Ragtime? Yes! So you guys know, Ragtime is a very sophisticated, elegant musical. It takes place at the turn of the century. Well, I showed up to this audition with long hair down to my nipples, ripped jeans, a wife-beater t-shirt, and flip-flops. They took one look at me and they said, "You are not right for this show." And I said, "Well, I'm here, but can I at least sing for you?" I closed my eyes, drew back the curtain to see for certain what I thought I knew. Far, far away, someone was weeping, and the world was sleeping. Any dream will do. Oh, a crash of drums, a flash of light. My golden coat flew out of sight. The colors faded into darkness. I was left alone. Stop. You are still not right for this show. But you're perfect for something else we're casting. They just happen to be looking for someone to replace the leading actor in the national tour of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I guess I sang the right song, right? And even luckier for me, the actor they were looking to replace was none other than Donny Osmond. I think I had the prerequisite big teeth. So I got the job, and Donnie took me under his wing, and he's just as nice as you think he's going to be. He taught me the show, and I was a bit starstruck. I mean, it's Donny Osmond, you know? So I'll never forget opening night. I was so nervous and excited, and well, Donnie, you know, he comes from the world of pop music, which is a little different than musical theater. He thought he was being so loving and supporting of me. Never forget him. Getting ready to do the big 11 o'clock number, a song called Close Every Door. And it's a big song, and I had my little loincloth on. Not so little, Mark. Okay. I had my little loincloth on, and you have to get down on your knees, just like this. And say, you know, I really feel for you ladies, because I felt like everybody was looking up my skirt. So I'm down there giving it my all, and I look, and sitting right there is Donny Osmond, beaming up at me with his Technicolor dream smile. No pressure there, right? But that was my first big break in show business. Close every door to me. Hide all the world from me. Bar all the windows and shut out the light. Do what you want with me. Hate me and laugh at me. Darken my daytime and torture my night. If my life were important, I would ask, will I live or die? But I know the answers lie far from this world. Close every door to me. Keep those I love from me. Children of Israel are never allowed, for we know we shall find our own peace of mind, for we have been promised a land of
Thank you so much. We'll be back a little later. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Please welcome a co-chair for tonight's Everyday Heroes Awards and Desert AIDS Project board member, Terry Ketover.
Hi, good evening. It's tough to follow that face, that voice, that humor, but I'm here. And I'm here to say thank you to all of you, because this event is about people who make our community better, for people who are affected by HIV and AIDS. And it's just such an important event, particularly to those of us who have been touched by it and also who work, Desert AIDS Project, AIDS Assistance Program, work to try and make the community a healthier place to live. It is my great pleasure tonight to present the first Everyday Hero Award of the evening to my friend, he asked me to say, the very good-looking Willie Ryan. And he is. As most of you know, Willie is co-owner of 849 Restaurant and Lounge and 849 Fine Catering, yes. He donates his time, his talent, his resources to so many community gatherings and fundraisers and special events. He's been a longtime supporter of Desert AIDS Project. Willie and his partner, Albert, are members of Partners for Life. They're members of the AIDS Assistance Program's Jeanette Rockefeller Angel Program and the LGBT Center's Ocotillo Club. Willie also serves on the board of the Coachella Valley Repertory Company, CV Rep, which is his passion. Many of you may remember that Willie was the owner and artistic director of his own theater on Arenas Road called the Top Hat Playhouse. Now, yeah. I came to the desert a bit late to visit the Top Hat, but I heard stories. And I had the pleasure of attending a reunion of the Top Hat players when Willie hosted a dinner at my place benefiting Desert AIDS Project at his beautiful home. And it was really a magical evening. Born in Scotland, it's very emotional because I know Willie's story and know many of you do, and what he's made of his life and what he does for others is incredible. He began volunteering at the age of 15 at the Royal Blind School in Edinburgh, which was a residential care center for young people. At 16, Willie used his voice for gay rights and was instrumental in the founding of the first gay youth group in Scotland. This commitment to the LGBTQ community and to young people came with Willie to America. And in 2011, he helped plan the prom of his dreams for the local Desert Cities gay youth at the Palm Springs Art Museum. 200 young people were able to celebrate their prom because of Willie. Watching these 200 kids enjoy and celebrate who they are, Willie said, erased the painful memories from his past. It's no surprise to me that in addition to being honored tonight, Willie will be the recipient of the When I Rise Award presented by the Opera Arts at its March 24th gala. Most deserving.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the good looking. We had a rehearsal earlier, so she's right. I did say, would you just add one more? Truly, I'm thrilled and humbled to receive this award. I'm honored to join not only the past everyday heroes who I've long admired and respected, but I am so delighted to share this stage with tonight's recipients, Edie, Roseanne, Jeffrey, and the guys from the AIDS Life Cycle team. Each are remarkable examples of everyday heroes. I would like to thank Dr. Terry Cadover for those kind words. Thanks again. I would also like to thank Desert AIDS Project for selecting me. I'm especially grateful that they waited until I miraculously had a full head of hair. Those photographs are amazing. Thank you, John Pascoe. I have been a proud, some of you know the secret. I have been a proud supporter of Desert AIDS Project since it opened on Vella Road. And I am excited to see the huge expansion and the work it has done for our community over the years. I moved to Palm Springs in the early 90s and had a career in home remodeling. I remodeled the home of Dick Taylor and his late partner, Guy Lawson. Guy introduced me to the HIV Special Care Unit on the 3rd floor at the Desert Regional Medical Center. And it was there that I truly became a member of our amazing community. I volunteered my time as a caregiver to the patients. I had no idea that I was about to change my life. I saw the discrimination, fear, loneliness many of the patients faced on the floor in those early days. And I could somewhat relate. I left home at the age of 15 because I was gay. Actually, I was thrown out of my house because I was gay. Being on the floor, watching how patients were treated, I was reminded of the discrimination that I faced as a kid. I realized that I was being an opportunity to step out of myself by helping someone else, and in turn, I became a part of a new caring, loving family of volunteers. It was during that time that I discovered the power of love and kindness. I truly loved watching so many other people giving of themselves. People like Guy Lawson, Tom O'Mara, Percy, Mel, so many people I can't name them all actually because I'm older and I can't remember them all. But I do remember those people changed my life. It was a huge lesson to someone in their mid-20s. The Special Care Unit was a one-of-a-kind facility where each room was decorated so that the patients would feel like they were at home. The late Bruce Iker hired me. I used to be a butch contractor. The late Bruce Iker hired me to decorate several of the rooms he designed on the floor. And later I was lucky enough to be in a position to donate and decorate the isolation room in memory of my best friend, his late partner, Greg Marufo. Over 25 years, I have witnessed the kindness and generosity of so many people and desire to emulate those kind traits as much as possible. I'm grateful that a while ago I discovered Unity Church and the teachings of the late Dr. Anne Martin. She taught many lessons in kindness, but it all goes back to those simple 2 words that I love: be nice. Many of you know that I enjoyed a long career with Barbara and Jerry Keller at Aqua Pazza and Lulu, California Bistros. With their help and my creative skills together, we helped raise money for almost every charity in town, and that was such a joy. Today, I continue that tradition through 849. I have discovered that there's no greater feeling than helping someone in need. Whether it's giving of one's time, skills, or money, There are many different ways to give back and practice being nice. Lastly, I truly appreciate this recognition, but I must say I don't do it alone. I have an amazing team at 849, and they are the people that I work with on a daily basis. And without that, we couldn't do what we do. Most importantly, I truly appreciate the love and support of my life partner, Albert Gonzalez. On a daily basis, he teaches me the power of love. And he is truly one of the kindest people that I know. He is my everyday hero. Thank you.
Desert AIDS Project Board Member, Ann Sheffer.
Good evening. It's with great pleasure that I get to present this year's Everyday Hero Award to the power duo of volunteerism, Roseanne Cumans and Edie Grosbeck. And I have to say that I am personally happy to be presenting to two women because the two of them are omnipresent as they volunteer at events across our valley, including Modernism Week, Greater Palm Springs Pride, Steve Chase Humanitarian Awards, HRC, Coachella Valley Repertory Theater, Well in the Desert, Palm Springs Art Museum, and so many more. And they are also key to Desert AIDS projects and were formerly members of 100 Women, which, as you may know, we have merged into Partners for Life. But we still recognize the special interest that women have in women and children who are affected by HIV/AIDS. It's been said that volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. Think about the last election. You vote in elections once a year, but when you volunteer, you vote every day about the kind of community that you want to live in. And these women do just that. They use their time and talent to make a lasting impression on our beautiful valley, and we are all the better for what they do every day. Having grown up with a mother who was a consummate volunteer and having gone to a women's college, it was a given to me that women play a special role in supporting the organizations that are the heart and soul of our community. But we're just beginning to appreciate the talents and experience that women bring to these volunteer activities. You know, sometimes we're called the ladies who lunch to raise money for things, but I've always referred to this group as the ladies who don't have time for lunch because they're so busy volunteering. My mother, I swear, went to a brown bag lunch every day because it was a meeting. But I think about Edie and Roseanne, and I think that they get enormous sustenance and joy from volunteering what seems like all of their time to our community. So we take them for granted. But how many times have you been greeted at a local event by a volunteer, unaware of what they've achieved professionally? Edie, for example, thinks of herself as an ambassador against hate and bullying, against anti-Semitism, and as an advocate for human rights. She retired from the Pacific Telephone in 1984 where she developed the 911 operational plan for the state of California that's still in effect today. She raised a son and a daughter, and now enjoys time with her 2 granddaughters and her 3 great-grandchildren. Her family calls her the Energizer Bunny, but she had a life before and during her volunteerism. Roseanne spent most of her career at Harvard University, where, as Assistant Director of Contract Administration for the Harvard Institute for International Development, she established and staffed HID's contract office before joining Engender Health, which was an NGO working in the field of women's reproductive health issues in 2001. So these are not just the people who check you into the event or show you to your seat. These are women with an enormous amount of experience and life empathy for what we're doing.
So before I begin, does anybody have any mints? First, let me thank all of you for being here and supporting the wonderful organization that is DAP. When word came to me while I was feeding orangutans in Borneo that I was being honored as an everyday hero, I said, I don't deserve this. I volunteer a little here, a little there, but none of it is so difficult and not so time-consuming. And after all, I started to volunteer when I first came to Palm Springs as a snowbird 8 years ago, mainly as a way of meeting people. And indeed, nearly all of my friends have been made through the wonderful organizations that have let me help out, mainly Palm Springs Art Museum and DAP. But once I got back to Palm Springs a few weeks ago, I warmed up to the idea of being an everyday hero and began to like the attention. What can be better than riding in a parade, seeing your name in lights on Highway 111, and people coming up to you and congratulating you? How flattering is that? But, upon arriving in Palm Springs my first season in 2011, I learned about DAP from my neighbors who were going to something called the Steve Chase. They were all decked out in their tuxedo finery, and I thought, I'm going to go to that next year. And I was interested in DAP because back in the 80s in Boston, I helped raise money for a halfway house for people with AIDS. And my work, when I still worked, was in university research, and I saw funds becoming more and more available for research relating to AIDS, and later to women's issues like mother and child transmission. So I scheduled a tour of the DAP facility and was so impressed. I immediately joined 100 Women and have continued to support DAP since. And I love volunteering for Dine Out for Life. I also continued to volunteer at the Palm Springs Art Museum in a number of ways, and for the last 2 years have volunteered with Well in the Desert, giving out lunch on Tuesdays to those less fortunate than us, and that's probably the most humbling work for me. In sum, while they say volunteering is giving back, for me, it has given me much, much more, and for that I am so very grateful. So thank you again, and a big thanks for DAP and the very important work that you do.
Donald Jean Baker, that was my brother's name. In 1951, when I was 16, my brother and I lived together in Vancouver, Washington, without a parent. He was 4 years older than me and just from college. I was leaving for school one morning, and I walked out the back door and I saw my brother in a car with another man, and they were kissing. I really did not think much about it because we were a very affectionate family. That evening, my brother sat me down to talk about what he knew I saw. He then told me he's a homosexual. And my response to him was, wonderful. Whatever makes you happy, I'll always be supportive of you. But little did I know. In our home, we did not have a dictionary. So the next day when I went to school, I looked up the word. I was shocked because of my love, appreciation, and respect for the brother. I thought I must have caused this affliction. He laughed me and said, silly you. No, you had nothing to do with my lifestyle. My brother moved to San Francisco. He became a dress designer, a seamstress, an antique shop owner. He flipped houses. He was a porno movie star. And he escorted very wealthy women patrons of the art. Rock Hudson visited him occasionally. Also, he escorted me to the San Francisco Opera. When I got married, he designed and he created my wedding dress. And he walked me down the aisle, even though my father was alive. That is how much I loved him and kept him in my life. I used to go visit Donald in San Francisco. During the time of the big, gay, black and white balls, I would sit on the toilet tank while his friends prepared for the evening. As those of you who know me, I'm a very curious person. I have so many questions and want details about every aspect of these men's lives. Their relationships with their families, their friends, workplace, how they were treated and accepted. They shared their stories of being kicked out of their homes, beaten up by family members, friends, and strangers, shunned by their religion, humiliated, being ostracized, homeless and living on the streets. I was devastated by their stories of non-acceptance and prejudice because our family was always lovingly accepting of Donald. This is when I became aware of ignorance, bullying, brutality, violence, and the injustice against human rights. And this is in the 60s. In the mid-70s, my brother decided he wanted a gay bar. He wanted to be a San Francisco businessman. He so much wanted acceptance. He asked my sister and I to buy him a gay bar because he knew we were capable financially. He became a successful manager partner of the Wild Goose at Polk and Pine. We saw a lot of change in my brother at that time. He felt validated and empowered. But a terrible event interrupted his plans. Two men robbed the bank across the street from the Wild Goose, and because their bar was open and always very dark, they ran in, and the security packet exploded, covering the bar, the money, and the people with dye. So no more bar. Donald did not want to reopen. He went back to the antique shop, shaken and very disheartened. Even became despondent, seeing another dream to the wayside. Around 1982, Donald acquired a terrible itch. After going to many doctors, he was informed he had AIDS. Of course, he was in denial. We were told that we could still hug and kiss him. Just keep his dishes separate in the dishwasher. I watched this beautiful, handsome man wither away with Kaposi sarcoma. Nearing the end, he was begging me to get him anything to help him die. He died of AIDS. Because of the love of our family, we took care of him at home right to the end. And Donald was with the first group of men where documentation was being collected and studied about AIDS. My birthday is October 31st, and one of my favorite musicals is Wicked. And there's something I would like to share with you that is from a song in Wicked, and it's that. I heard the people come into our lives for a reason, being something we must learn. And we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. I accept and share this honor with my brother, Donald Jean Baker. He was my inspiration, driving force to become an active volunteer supporting Desert AIDS Project and the other service organization in our community. Thank you.
Please welcome the Director of Community Development for Desert AIDS Project, Stephen Henke.
Good evening. I've really been looking forward with enormous pride to presenting this Everyday Hero Award to my friend, Jeffrey Ewell. You know, it's said that a great drag queen makes the loneliest person in the room feel like they are part of the best party in town. And for countless Valley nonprofit events, that is what Jeffrey, as his alter ego, Ethelina Can, has done with humanity, kindness, and humor. But behind every great drag queen, there's a man standing in size 14 heels with a heart as big as the shoes. And tonight, we honor that man. You know, I first worked with Jeffrey in October of 2013 when I served on the host committee for that year's Palm Springs Equality Awards. We had built the evening around our host, Leslie Jordan, and a number of politicians from Washington. And then the government shut down, making it impossible for any politician to leave DC and fly to Palm Springs. Leslie didn't want to do the show alone, so he called Jeffrey one day before the event and asked if he would co-host. And without any ego, he said yes. Since then, Jeffrey has continued to say yes, supporting Desert AIDS Project and many other local organizations. He's lent his talent as MC or host for the Steve Chase Humanitarian Awards, Queen of the Desert, and the LGBT Center of the Desert's Red Dress, Red Carpet, and Santa Paz events. In 2016, Jeffrey said yes to compete in Best in Drag. And he won Best in Drag that evening in front of a sold-out crowd at the historic Orpheum Theater in downtown LA. And that hope-filled event raised $500,000 for AIDS Alliance for Housing and Healing in Los Angeles. This year, he said yes to mounting an amazing show about his life at the Annenberg Theater, aptly titled, Say Yes. The event was part of Sober in the Sun's annual recovery event for the LGBT community. And it was in this community of recovery that we first met, and where I've watched Jeffrey's story change countless hearts and minds as he's created space for connection, hope, and healing.
Thank you, Stephen, for that lovely introduction. I love you so much. First and foremost, I would like to thank this amazing and vibrant community for all the events and fundraisers that happen throughout the year, which help lift our residents up to help those who are in need. I am honored and humbled to be recognized tonight by Desert AIDS Project as an everyday hero. To be among my fellow honorees, most of them good friends of mine, makes this evening extra special. I want to take a moment and let you know why this recognition is so special to me. There was a time in my life that I was the farthest thing from being an inspiration to anyone. My life had been consumed by a drug addiction that lasted over 20 years. During that time, I made many mistakes. I hurt many people. and I took from the community instead of giving back. I am grateful that that person standing before you tonight is not that person. When I moved to the desert 6 years ago, I knew a total of 4 people. I had never heard of Desert AIDS Project and was not familiar with their mission. This all changed when I went there for services needed for medication. I quickly witnessed all the good that was happening there and wanted to be a part of it. With the help of my alter ego, Ethelina Can, I have been able to be a part of so many wonderful events throughout the years. Desert AIDS Project has welcomed me with open arms. And while they may think that they are the lucky ones, the fact is, the lucky one is me. By allowing me to be involved in their fundraising efforts, it has allowed me to feel connected to the community here in Palm Springs and has offered me many opportunities that I never dreamed of having. This is truly a gift that I feel so special to have been given. Why, you may ask, am I devoted to the cause of Desert AIDS Project? I recently became a client of DAP as my doctor moved her office there. I have been HIV positive since 2008, and as we celebrate World AIDS Day tomorrow, December 1st, I believe it is so important to speak my truth about my status. This is the first time I have spoken to a large group of people on a microphone that I am an HIV positive gay man. I realize that breaking down the stigma associated with being positive starts with me. We must stay vigilant of being proud of who we are. We must let go of the shame. We must fight the fight. And we must not judge our fellow brothers and sisters. I will continue to support DAP for many years to come because I believe that everyone deserves health care and kindness. Again, I am so grateful for this honor tonight. And I am so grateful for this community and all the love I see around me. Thank you.
A good neighbor is one who sees a need and is right there to address it.
A good neighbor is somebody that brings you soup when you're sick.
To me, a good neighbor is an ordinary person who does extraordinary things.
Someone who walks your dog when you don't have the energy to, and to even take your kids to volleyball when your mom forgets.
A good neighbor is someone who does something not looking for recognition.
A good neighbor is somebody that you always can depend on.
A good neighbor, I think, is someone who's going to be very caring. A good neighbor is someone who cares about what's going on in their community.
A good neighbor is someone who is nice.
A good neighbor is somebody who is there when things don't go right. They're there to help life go right.
What the good neighbors have all had in common that I've known is the ability to know who and what, who is in need and what their need is.
This community really exemplifies what a good neighbor is. There are so many people here who are active and involved and really care about making it a better place for all of us to live.
Next to the stage are two of our Valley's best neighbors, Jim Scheibel and Tim Wood. Jim and Tim own a full-service State Farm insurance agency in Cathedral City and are incredibly proud of their community relationships. In addition to serving on multiple boards and committees, this past year, Jim and Tim have contributed to or sponsored the following organizations: Desert AIDS Project, the Cathedral City Senior Center, Find Food Bank, the LGBT Center of the Desert, CV Rep Theater, AIDS Assistance Program, the Harvey Milk Breakfast, the Mizell Center, the United Way, Planned Parenthood, Prime Timers of the Desert, Digicom, Angel View, and Pride Palm Springs. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our good neighbors, Jim Scheibel and Tim Wood.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Scheibel, and this is my husband, Tim Wood. We are extremely honored to be presenting this very meaningful award tonight. Before we get started, I do want to address the elephant in the room. We both know what you are all likely thinking. Oh, great, it's that part of the Academy Award show when the boring accountants come onto the stage. You know, Deloitte and douche. The really sad part for us as insurance agents is that we are very aware that we aren't even nearly as interesting as the accountants. I also have one housekeeping issue to clean up tonight. I know there's likely some confusion because there are actually two Tim Woods on the program tonight. Let me clear this one up for you. One is super cool, edgy, and popular, and the other one is my husband. All jokes aside, Tim and I are extremely proud to be standing up here tonight honoring this remarkable group of humans with the Tim Wood State Farm Good Neighbor Award. When we started this business, one of our foundational pieces was that we would become a truly community-based business, and that a portion of every single dollar that came into our business would go back into the community in a variety of different ways. What we didn't know or expect is how blown away we would be by witnessing the enormous generosity and leadership that others in the Coachella Valley have demonstrated. There are many of you in this room tonight who are quiet mentors for both Tim and I. We watch the way you engage and invest yourself into our community, and we try hard to emulate your example of generosity, kindness, and humanity. We thank you for being a shining example of what decent human citizenry looks like, and for providing a path for us to follow. I'm now going to pass the mic to my husband, Tim Wood, who I like to call the Sheldon Cooper of insurance. He's going to tell you more about this extraordinary group of ALC riders.
Thank you, Jim. But you do know that if I'm Sheldon Cooper, that makes you Amy Farrah Fowler. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here tonight and supporting this amazing group of good neighbors. Through our life, we have been conditioned to believe some preconceived notions about the essence of philanthropy, that it's simply about writing a check or having your name on a building or a wall. But Jim and I see it quite differently. We believe that true philanthropy is about giving of yourself. And yes, that may be through financial contribution, but it also may be via your talents, your education, your time, and your expertise. It's not a static concept, and it's actually far more fluid. Tonight's recipients of the Good Neighbor Award smash any idea of what philanthropy and giving looks like. Through the years, not only are they raising millions of dollars for AIDS research and education, but they're doing it with their time, their bodies, and their hearts. For this group, giving can mean getting up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning and riding 100 miles to get their training in. It can mean an unexpected tire blowout and a nasty case of road rash. It can mean broken arms and bumps and bruises. It can mean raising money through their friends on social media, a 50-50 draw, or dressing up like in drag, like that trashy and bitchy Celia Deal, but still raising thousands of dollars for the cause. These are all things, these are the things you rarely hear from this amazing group of writers, though. When you talk to them, this is what you hear. They talk about their love bubble. They talk about their sacred space where they've built family and community. A space where adversity, pain, and sadness are replaced by love, connection, and joy. They talk about riding until a cure is found, knowing that their sacrifice honors all those who have been lost before and cannot ride for themselves. They talk about how this is no longer an event for them. It's become embedded in their DNA. It's something they no longer choose, but has been chosen for them. When you speak to this amazing group of people, it is evidently clear that they have experienced an enormous amount of pain and loss in their lives. They make it also abundantly clear that they ride for those who cannot, But what makes this group even more remarkable is through their pain and their loss, they ride each day with an overwhelming sense of joy and humor. That type of ball-busting, towel-snapping, locker room silliness that is the antidote for the dark and painful history of this disease. Over these years, this team of riders and roadies have literally raised millions of dollars for AIDS research. 19 of these riders have been multi-year participants, some participating over 20 years. This 2018 team, this past year alone, raised a remarkable $307,000 for AIDS research and education as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now ask that you give a loud and generous welcome to the 2018 AIDS Life Cycle Riders and Support Team as they join us here on the stage.
I stand here tonight on behalf of my Palm Springs team with the privilege of receiving the Everyday Heroes and the Jim Scheibel and Tim Wood State Farm Good Neighbor Award, recognizing the commitment and dedication to all of our participants. I also want to acknowledge the dozens of others in this community who have participated in AIDS Life Cycle over the past few years. AIDS Life Cycle is a fierce and fabulous force of 3,000 people who are moving towards one goal: to end AIDS. We are a diverse group of people, men, women, LGBTQ, and straight, ranging in age from 18 to 80 years old. We combine our love, our passion, our time, and our laughter to create this thing we call the love bubble. In 2018, there were 2,400 riders and 600 roadies who collectively raised $16.6 million. As Tim said, the Palm Springs team contributed over $307,000. The ride is physically grueling, emotionally challenging, and spiritually satisfying. Standing at bike parking in the morning, you see 2,400 bikes spread out as far as the eye can see. Every bike has a rider. Every rider has a story as to why they ride. Riders have their training journey, their triumphs and losses. There is a soul bicycle which doesn't have a rider. It travels with us, representing those we have lost from this disease. The roadies are our backbone. A rider's job is to ride the bike. The roadies' job are to keep us going. Roadies feed us meals and snacks. Medical personnel keep our bodies ready for top performance. Moto or route safety make sure our route is clearly marked and is safe to ride on. Mechanics keep all of our bikes rolling. And these roadies, they are all volunteers, contributing their time and dedication for a week of their lives to the love bubble. Before dawn, camp begins to stir. Some roadies have been up since 3 a.m. getting breakfast ready and setting up the day's rest stops. In the dark, cold, and dewy morning, riders prep to spend the next 8 hours on a bike seat, riding nearly 100 miles across strawberry fields, up hills, and along the coastline. On Thursdays, we wear red. Well, technically, we wear red dresses. As we climb the switchbacks, we create a beautiful, enormous, visible red ribbon of cyclists making the difference in the fight against AIDS. As we ride through the towns along the way, we do make a huge statement, bringing awareness to our battle and changing lives. One morning, I saw a woman in her front lawn holding a simple sign that read, "My son died of AIDS. Thank you, riders." That is why I ride. Seeing this battalion roll 545 miles from San Francisco to Los Angeles over 7 days is one incredible, amazing sight. And the logistics of moving 3,000 people is truly mind-blowing. We don't think of ourselves as heroes, just ordinary folk, just good neighbors, doing extraordinary things through a common vision and a single hope to end AIDS. I and my team are humbled to be a part of such an amazing experience. The words in our logo are ride, love, live. We ride with love so that others can live. Knowing that Tim Wood and Jim Scheibel acknowledge our efforts and support us is deeply, deeply gratifying. From all of us, of the AIDS Life Cycle participants, we thank you for this prestigious award.
Please welcome back to the stage, David Burnham.
I'm so inspired, man. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes, and leave. That's just what I did. I leapt into the Broadway company of Stephen Schwartz's Wicked. Do we have any Wicked fans out there? We know we have one, Edie. I got to play the role of Fiyero for a year on Broadway, and even cooler than that, I got to create the role of Fiyero in all the original workshops of the production. And maybe there's a few of you out there who don't know what a workshop of a new musical is. That is where the writers and they gather together some actors and some singers, and we read through their script, and we sing their songs, and they get to judge their progress, basically. You know, we were doing the show like last week, and some guy raises his hand and says, "Well, how hard can it be to write a musical?" I assure you, it is no easy task. The very first time they had us read any of Wicked, they only had the first act done, and they handed us a script that weighed about 10 pounds and was that thick. So it took us about 4 hours to get through the first act. So that's where the expertise comes. What do you add? What do you subtract? How do you make it a cohesive story? Well, I think the folks at Wicked did it right. They constructed a beautiful and touching tale of the witches of Oz. You guys remember them, right? There was Elphaba, the green, wicked witch of the west. And then there was Glinda, the good witch of the north. Blonde hair, wore a little pink. I played Fiyero, the love interest that connects the two. And deep in the second act, this beautiful love song that was actually the very first song that Stephen Schwartz wrote for Wicked. And I had the great honor of being the first person to ever sing these lyrics. Maybe I'm brainless, maybe I'm wise, but you've got me seeing through different eyes. And just for this moment, as long as you're mine, we'll wake up our bodies and see how bright we shine, borrow the moonlight until it is through. I know I'll be here holding you as long as you're mine. And then I kiss the actors playing Elphaba passionately, and I get a bunch of green makeup on all over my face. You know, I really loved being a part of that musical, and I'll never forget when Stephen Schwartz, he sat down at the piano and started playing this next song. I felt like I was witnessing the birth of a musical theater standard. And sure enough, that's what's been happening with this next song. It's touched so many people's lives, and tonight I was so touched and moved by everyone's story. This song seems so appropriate. So tonight, this is for you, Edie, and your brother, Donald. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are there to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Now I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good. It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime, so let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart, and now whatever way our stories end, I know they have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for. But I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a seed on the sky, on my word, still a word. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better, and because I knew you, because I knew you, because I knew you. I have been changed for Hey Edie, you know, I like to do research on all the characters I play, and certainly Fierro was no different. Although I realized when I had been doing research on this guy ever since I was 5 years old. Only when I was 5 years old, the character wasn't called Fierro. He was simply known as Scarecrow. I could while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consoled with the rain. And my head I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching, if I only had a brain. Oh, I could tell you why the ocean's near the shore. I could think of things I never thought before, and then I'd sit and think some more. if I only had a... What was it again, Mark? Brain. You thought I forgot, didn't you? No, it's just part of the show, really. That song, of course, is from what movie? Anybody see it? Little show called The Wizard of Oz. Little movie which inspired Wicked, right? Here, I'm gonna date myself, but you guys remember when I was a kid, it used to come on once a year on TV. You guys remember that? At my house, it was a national holiday. Yes, we had what you called a TV guide back then. I'd get the TV guide and a Sharpie or a highlighter, and I would highlight, Thursday night at 8 o'clock, it's gonna be on. I'd gather my whole family, and there I would sit. Well, first my mom, she would make me a big bowl of popcorn and a hot cup of cocoa. And there I was sitting in front of the TV in a musical theater coma, transported away to a place where a little 8-year-old musical theater queer boy was free to be whoever he wanted to be. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Oh, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. If birds fly over the rainbow, why then oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, I can't. And thank you, everyday heroes.
Please welcome back to the stage the CEO of Desert AIDS Project, David Brinkman.
What a night! Please join me in congratulating all of our everyday heroes one more time. And please help me thank everybody who made tonight such a great success. Our co-chairs, Terry Kedover, Ann Sheffer, and Tom Truey. Our major sponsors, Bob Mikado and Michael Crick and Compass Rose Financial Planning, The Desert Sun, Forest Lawn, Gilead Sciences, Jim Scheibel and State Farm Agent Tim Wood. For their underwriting of the annual Good Neighbor Award. Barbara and Jerry Keller and the entire team at Lulu California Bistro. They're donating all the food at the after party tonight. Frank Goldstein of Momentous Events for producing this wonderful show and making it truly a momentous evening. Our friend Leslie Barclay and Diageo Spirits in Smirnoff, they're underwriting all the bars at tonight's after party. How about L.D. Thompson and David Rothmiller of Trick Dog Films? Those were some fantastic clips tonight. John Pascal, our board member Ann Sheffer and her wonderful husband Bill Scheffler. And our event sponsors, John Evans and Contempo Lending, Steve Tobin and Johnny Krupa and the Grace Helen Spearman Foundation, Hugh Glenn, Sanctuary Palm Springs, Jim Vogel and the CV Independent, Brad Furr and the Gay Desert Guide, and Nicholas Snow and PromoHomoTV. All of these fantastic sponsors, thank you so much for helping us mark the eve of World AIDS Day in such a beautiful way. We hope all of you are leaving with a spark in your heart tonight, and that spark inspires you each and every day to be an everyday hero. Please join me outside for our fabulous after party. Thank you all so much for your beautiful support of Desert AIDS Project. Have a great night.
And there you have it, comprehensive coverage of Everyday Heroes, the 5th edition. Until next time, I'm Nicholas Snow, and you have been watching Promo Homo.